Okay, so my name is Sriram. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Very generous. I don't think I deserve most of it. I have been involved in this non-profit that I set up in 2005. It's called Nalanda Way Foundation. We teach music, dance, theatre, any form of creativity to children who come from very marginalized backgrounds. Today, I'm going to talk about one story about working with these wonderful, beautiful children. In 2000, should be 14 or 15, I was at the Jaipur Literary Festival. And at the Jaipur Literary Festival, there was this Chicago Children's Youth Choir. I was just blown away looking at the youth choir from Chicago. Then I said, okay, why don't we create a youth choir, a children's choir from Chennai and from the most disadvantaged, and we provide them the most kick-ass training, and they're going to perform in stages around the world. Is that possible? And can we make that inclusive? Can we make that for children with disability, with autism, with visual disability? And can they all come together? So that was the dream in 2015, and we began. But today's story is not just about music. It's also about courage. It's also about hope and some miracles. Yeah. We then decided, why don't we try something bigger? Try something international. Try something rest of the country. While we are at it, there was this little child who popped into our choir classes that happen every weekend on Saturdays and Sundays. Anjali is her name, and Anjali is someone who's on the autistic spectrum, and she's someone who has severe challenges with sensitivity and language processing, so she can't speak. But her mother always promised us that she is very interested in music. She would listen patiently with music alone. We said, okay, join the choir. Why don't you at least observe what's happening in the choir? She came in. Her mother would accompany her every time. And every time she came in, her mother would tell us she would not go to school. She's not interested in studies. But every Saturday and Sunday, she's the first to wake up. She's the first to get ready. And she'll be the first to come to the choir classes as well. 3 months went on. She would observe. She would perhaps smile at different points in time. She would never talk to other children at all. You come close to her, she gets very, very agitated. 4 months went on. She started learning her first song. She can't speak, but she can sing. In 3 more months, she learnt 3 more songs. Madras has its annual birth day. Yeah, so I think it's around 370 years since birth of Madras, and there was one of those events where they celebrate across the city, and our choir was invited to perform at the Hyatt Regency in Chennai. And Anjali was having her first concert that day. And in the middle of the concert, she could sing 3 songs that was part of the repertoire that day. Between every song, she would look up to her mother, who would sit always in the first row. Every time she would look at her and say, Amma, look at me. Amma, look at me. That's her telling herself, as well as her mother, that I am counted. I am somebody. I can do something. And that's what music does to children. There was this choir that happens at Washington, D.C. It's called the Serenade World Choir. Now, this choir, we were very audacious, very courageous, and we said, okay, we'll apply for it. And this is a choral festival inviting choirs from around the world. So we decided we'll apply. We'll send our music videos. They had multiple rounds of interviews. They tested. They wanted to see how the kids perform in harmony, all of it. And guess what? We were selected. We just didn't know how to react to it. We were quite excited by it. But imagine the possibility that this is 25 children who's never stepped anywhere more than perhaps a train ride outside of Chennai. We have to get them all, including their chaperones. So finally, 35 of them, all the way to Washington, D.C. Very excited. Where is the money? It is perhaps going to cost a little over. So we did a small under the envelope calculation, and we figured out it will cost us anywhere between 30-35 lakhs. Okay. and hope on hope, we're going to ask everybody, beg, borrow, steal for it. So we told the organizers, I don't think, so the organizers are going to not fund us. So we need to find our own sponsorship to get there. So we said, okay, we told them, we're going to try this. Okay, don't confirm. We're going to try this. We're going to ask around, see if there's something that might come out of it. And we said, we're going to put up a crowdfunding page, ask people, make some friends, and ask them 100 rupees, 200 rupees, whatever is something, please donate. So we made a short video, and we put this out there. Now, we put it out there 8 o'clock in the evening, and we said, okay, I'm going to wish luck beyond any kind of hope, something might happen. You wouldn't be surprised. By the next few hours, the money just kept pouring. The money just kept pouring. In the next 15 days, we collected 35 lakhs. It is not people, most of them, I think close to some 400 odd people contributed in small donations, big donations, people whom we've not even known. I think the one thing that stuck to them is that these children, can I be part of their hope? Can I be part of that courage that they're putting themselves out there? Perhaps the only time they may even get on a plane, only time they're going to be in the US, only time they may perform. And all that money might just go to funding their flight tickets. Still, it was worth it. Because every time an underdog wants to win, and every time I'm supporting that underdog win, I'm also winning. Yeah? So that was something we realized that was such a big deal. I mean, we were quite surprised. This was quite a miracle. We just didn't realize that this could be possible. We are quite excited by it. So suddenly we told the organizers of Serenade World Choir, okay, we're going to come. Okay, we figured this out. We know where to find the money is flowing, and our initial back on the envelope calculation said, okay, 35 lakhs. Somebody in Air India said, okay, they're going to fund a part of it, so we're not going to pay 100% of the tickets, so they said 30% we will give you a discount. Okay, so we said, okay, something's going to come in. 35 lakhs arrived, very confident, only to realize that 35 lakhs was not enough also. Because what we realized is that money is only going to get us tickets and perhaps going there, and we're going to deal with children, and we're going to be making performances in 13 venues across Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Baltimore. So which also means they need to stay in some place. They need to travel around, and traveling in the US is not as easy as India. You can't just pick up a van and get people bussed around. There are unions for this. There are clear rates for this. So which means that was a big challenge. And the second big challenge was food. They're not used to American food. They're not going to eat, even the kids who are non-vegetarians, they don't like the kind of raw meat that's going to be there. So we need to find food that they'd be comfortable with. Suddenly we realized we don't have that much money. We then realized that besides all of our effort, something in the universe is going to help. Suddenly we got a call from the Washington, D.C. Indian Association. And they said, we heard about this, we got to know this, we're going to help. So don't worry, all of these bachas are our bachas. You're going to come with us. They will all stay in our homes. We'll take care of transportation everywhere. And we're sorted. We were high on hopes. Okay, we really sorted this out now. We then spoke to our friends in the US consulate, got them visas. I mean, imagine for 35 people, I think perhaps two people in the entire group, including me, were the ones who had visas. The rest of them had no passports also. So imagine passports, visas, all of that getting sorted because everything was done. 15 days before we were supposed to travel, okay? So our festival was around Independence Day in the US. So this is July. And so early June, there was suddenly lack of response from the DC groups. They weren't taking our calls, no emails coming. And we were worried, what is happening? We had not booked our accommodation because there was no plan B. And one day, out of desperation, I picked up the phone and called them, okay, what is happening? And they said, sorry, we overestimated our reach. We couldn't figure out what to do, how to do this. I don't think we'll be able to help. Okay, that was one big disappointment. While we were at this, I remember June 3rd. This is Prem. Prem is the boy of a fisherman, and they lived on the beaches of Madras, full of excitement and mischief all in his eyes. One day he goes out to the sea, a fisherman, he's a fish, he learns swimming by birth. He goes out fishing, swimming in the sea in the morning, and he never comes back. We lost him. And that completely gutted us. I mean, one of our own child loses. And then it started about all the naysayers around. Why are you doing this? This is dangerous. Don't take children. What if something happens to them? All this money, 35, 40 lakhs, you're going to waste over one trip. Why don't you just take them on a trip to Bangalore and bring them back? All they wanted perhaps was getting on a plane, right? Maybe put that money in an FD. That's going to be really useful. One thing I've always believed is sometimes not to listen to people. Sometimes you just have to have that courage to believe in yourself when everything around you is telling you don't believe in yourself. I'm not sure how many of you believe in God. I'm not sure how many of you think that's just a concept. At that point of time, I could just believe in one God at that point in time. And I said, Tirupati Balaji, take care of myself, take care of my children. I have no clue. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to come back. I still had a little more hair then, okay? So I said I'm going to do tonsuring my hair. You replace Balaji with any god of yours, or perhaps nature, whoever it is. I think the importance was faith. So we set out, flights. These are kids landing in DC. All of them. First time flights, first time seeing movies on flights. But 3 days before we actually traveled, so I and a colleague traveled 1 week earlier to all the kids because we want to figure this out. We need to see how we can going to handle food, how we're going to handle accommodation. We got that sorted through a friend, otherwise still had to pay for it. Suddenly, there was a guy 3 days before the actual travel, the guy who's sitting next to me below, his name is Ranga. I have no idea who this man is. And he calls me and says, hey, I got to know about this. You guys are coming. Is there something I can do? And I said, yes, you can do a lot of things. We've not figured out transport. We've not figured out food. Can you do something? He said, okay, let me figure this out. You come. We land and we said, we've not got the food sorted. How are we going to do this? He said, come with me. I'm going to take you to a place. I've sorted this out, but I want you to see it first. The Balaji Temple in Fairfax in Virginia. And they've agreed to cook food for all the kids for 15 days every day and send that food through volunteers every day morning. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. I was like, oh God, this is goosebumps. Again, I'm not promoting Balaji here, but I think it is that miracle. It is that when you truly believe in something, have the courage and persistence to follow through, the world will conspire to make it happen for you. Yeah? And I think that is truly something that I've always believed in. The practice sessions were happening. This is near the mall at DC. These were our hotel room charts, who's going to sit in every room. The first performance was at the St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Alexandria. A Gothic, beautiful church. The person in the middle is Anjali, standing there in our red coat. And the first song that they sing is Kabir. And they sing, it's such gusto and excitement and courage and happiness. For a completely Anglo audience who've never heard Kabir, who've never heard Hindi, and they're just believing in the energy and passion of all of that children. So we are preparing for the big performance, and that performance is going to happen at the John F. Kennedy Performing Arts Center. It's one of the world's largest and most prestigious performance arts center in Washington, D.C. That's going to be our last performance. And Kennedy Center, they're so organized in all of this preparations and things like that. You have to go one day before for the rehearsals, tech, and everything else. And the kids are going to perform along with 13 or 15 other groups, each of them performing 2 songs. And finally, we realized, because at that point in time, Syrian war was happening, so there was a Syrian children's choir group that was supposed to come, but they didn't get visas for it. So ours was the only children's group performing in Washington, D.C. at that exact, in that festival. So these kids were more than excited, and all the organizers and performers were also very excited for the children to perform. They were quite happy taking selfies across the various Kennedy Center places. And finally they did perform. Finally they got onto the stage. They performed along with many other performers, all adults from Africa, from Latin America, from every other corners. That's the Kennedy Center. And that's their final performance. I'm going to end this by saying that hope, courage, is that niggly, stubborn creature inside all of us. It's that creature which persistently argues, persistently tells you, besides all of the naysayers around you, it consistently takes you and pushes you to keep striving, to keep trying, to keep fighting. Let us not lose that hope. Let's not lose that courage. Thank you so much.